All right. Uh, Good morning, everyone. My name is James Sly, and I'm the president and CEO of the East County Economic Development Council. And I'd like to welcome you today to our healthcare employment panel. The EDC focuses very heavily on workforce development and helping students transition from their college experience into meaningful employment. And today, we're getting a chance to sit down with some of our healthcare experts and some of our partners in that industry to ask them questions about their experiences, their industries, and how we can help you transition into healthcare. So I'll take this opportunity to introduce you to our moderator for the day, Dr. Javier Ayala, Dean of Career Technical Education at Grossmont College. Thank you.
Hello, welcome everyone, and thank you, James. It's so wonderful to be part of this excellent panel this morning. So we have, as I mentioned, a pretty strong panel related to healthcare. So we're very impressed, and I want to thank the San Diego East County Economic Development Council for providing this opportunity, and also Angela, who coordinated this event, which will be recorded and also made available to different individuals that could not attend. So speaking of individuals, before we get into the panel, I just want to kind of share with the audience who's actually participating. So we have folks who are in high school programs. I most recently heard that our middle college high school students at Grossmont College are also going to be participating. We have individuals who are looking to do a career change, individuals who are currently in healthcare areas. And we have just curious people, who want to know more about these awesome panelists and kind of wanting to know more about the careers that they work in and how they got into those careers. So as James mentioned, I'm the Dean of Career Programs and Workforce Development at Grossmont College. So just a little bit about Grossmont College. Grossmont College is part of the Grossmont-Cuyamaca Community College District. So our sister college is Cuyamaca College. And we serve about 30,000 students in East County, San Diego. So we have all the amazing programs that'll be touched upon, or where you can start lots of those programs at Grossmont, Cuyamaca. Grossmont is known for its strong allied health and nursing programs, so you can start your career pathway there. And then we have also just the timing of this panel is really, really fantastic, primarily because many of you are looking for some career changes or information. And right now, Grossmont College is embarking on providing information about resilient jobs and career pathways. And so those are ones that continue to be added during the pandemic, and also were added during the last Great Recession. So that information is available on our website, so you can learn more about what are recession, pandemic, resilient career paths. So so the timing again is very excellent. So we have some phenomenal individuals. I'll stop about Grossmont-Cuyamaca District, but I really want to jump into our amazing panelists. We have three amazing panelists, one from San Ysidro Health, one from Better Night, and the other from Sharp Grossmont Hospital. So very, very fortunate to have such a high quality set of folks on the panel. So what I'll do is I'll introduce them and I'll have them kind of wave at you, and then I'll share one small video for one of our panelists, and then we'll jump directly into questions. So for the audience attendees, I just want you to know we curated some questions. And if you have other questions you want to ask, you can post those to the panelists, and we'll address those if they're questions that they don't cover throughout their responses. So just want you to know, so at any point, if you're wanting to add a question, please post it, and we'll make sure we address it throughout the process. So our first person that we're very happy to introduce is Shaina Hackworth. So Shaina, if you can wave to the audience members. Awesome. So Shaina works at San Ysidro Health, and I'll show a little video after I do a quick little introduction. So Shaina Hackworth started her professional career in the social services field, working with various at-risk populations in Baltimore, Maryland, and San Diego, California. Shaina always felt passionate about directly working with individuals and families, but after 6 years of service in the field, decided a career change was needed. Shaina learned of a temporary recruiter role at San Ysidro Health and started as a contracted employee 5 years ago. Since then, Shaina has held the titles of recruiter, senior recruiter, and lead recruiter. Most recently, she was promoted to manager of talent acquisition in 2020, and now oversees a staff of 9. Shaina is a proud employee of San Ysidro Health and is passionate about the services San Ysidro Health provides to the community. She's thrilled to be part of the team who attracts and identifies talent to continue San Ysidro Health's mission to improve the health and well-being of the communities we serve with Access for All. So fantastic. So Shaina has asked me to share a quick little video about San Ysidro Health, which I'll share with the audience. So here we go.
We started in 1969 in a house that was in the path of a freeway, so we moved it to a new site. That little place, it was our clinic. We started with 3 rooms, and I think we had a staff of 4 volunteers. Now, when I look back, I believe what we did was revolutionary.
3 rooms in San Ysidro grew into 27 standalone clinics and program centers in San Diego.
Excellent video, Shaina. Thank you for sharing that. And for the attendees to this morning, we will send that full video out to you, along with the PowerPoint with the bios and images of our panelists. But we'll send that out to you toward the end. Next up is Alan Theodore. If you can turn your video on. Awesome, thank you. Alan Theodore represents Better Night, so I'm going to read his bio. Alan Theodore started his career working in corporate accounting and finance for various industries in both Northern and Southern California. Although he enjoyed the partnering aspect with hiring managers and other team members, his passion gravitated more towards regular, ongoing person-to-person interaction and connections established within human resources, and specifically recruiting and talent acquisition. I'm sure you're going to share how that's done over COVID too. You have a lot of experience with that. So about 10 years ago, he made the decision to segue into, at first, staffing agency recruiting, where he worked at General Ledger Resources for 4 years. From there, he determined his interest was getting back into the corporate world, working as an internal corporate recruiter was his true desire. Currently, he is now at Better Night, formerly known as Sleep Data, a healthcare organization that's focus is towards diagnosing and treating patients who have obstructive sleep apnea and has been working there for 4 years. Again, thank you so much, Alan. And next up is Dr. Rima Batra from Sharp Grossmont Hospital. Thank you. Dr. Batra has been a practicing medical oncologist and a hematologist since she completed her fellowship at George Washington University in 2007. Dr. Batra is board certified in internal medicine, hematology, and oncology. Dr. Batra started her career in the academic setting at George Washington University and then moved on to New York University in 2008. At New York University, she was division chief of hematology and oncology at Woodhull Hospital Center and New York City Public Hospital that is academically affiliated with New York University. During her tenure, she was the lead project manager in the development of the Cancer Center and Blood Disorders at Woodhull Hospital. She also started the Breast Care Center, a multidisciplinary breast cancer clinic. In 2012, Dr. Batra relocated to Southern California with her family and joined the Cancer Center Oncology Medical Group. She treats upwards of 20 patients per day in the outpatient clinic and performs inpatient consultations. She sees all cancer types and hematology disorders. The practice serves the East County of San Diego. Dr. Batra is on staff at Sharp Grossmont Hospital. She also serves on the Oncology Steering Committee at Sharp Grossmont Hospital. Most recently, she was awarded the honor of San Diego Magazine's top doctor status. Congratulations. She can be described as highly motivated, self-directed, offering strong clinical acumen, organizational and leadership skills, as well as interpersonal communication. In her spare time, you have spare time, that's pretty impressive. In her spare time, she enjoys spending time with her family. She has preteen twins, wow, and enjoys playing tennis. Wow, that's I think that's pretty impressive. Really trying to figure out the whole spare time thing. But all right, wonderful. Again, welcome, Dr. Batra. So at this point, I'd love to have the panelists just quickly just turn on their videos so everybody can get a glance at them. You know, feel free to keep your video on, because I think what'll happen is don't know who's responding to what question. So the first question that I would like to ask the panelists, and I'll just go in the order that I see here. I'll ask Dr. Batra, tell us about your industry. Tell us about how your own career path in the industry evolved. How do people enter your industry, and what are the different career opportunities? So let's take a few minutes just to respond to that, and then we'll turn the question over to the rest of the panelists. So take it away, Dr. Batra.
Sure. Thank you for that introduction, and I can tell you offline about the spare time thing. All I have to say is that it takes a village to raise kids and to raise myself. So I have a lot of help surrounding me. So thank you for the intro. I'm a physician. My specialty is oncology and hematology. And as you heard, my career took a few different pathways. Ultimately, I ended up here in San Diego. I'm in a private practice where I work with 2 other physicians. And we also have 3 physician assistants who help us see patients on a daily basis. We also do chemotherapy in our center itself. We treat, sometimes we have up to 70 to 80 patients a day getting chemotherapy here. We also have around 45 to 50 employees. And so we're a very, very busy practice. In addition, we also see patients in the hospital who come in from all over East County and even all over San Diego County, and people from across the border as well. The healthcare industry has been thriving for as long as I've been in medicine, which is longer than I'd like to admit to. We have weathered many storms, as you said in your intro, through the Great Recession and then the pandemic. Healthcare has always been something that has been very stable as far as job opportunities go. I have been very happy to say that, all of our employees have been able to stay employed throughout the last several years that I've been in this practice. And excuse me, and I was at NYU during the Great Recession, and even during that time, NYU never had any issues with unemployment. So I think it's a very stable industry and can also be very, very rewarding. Every day when I go home, I have a day where I have done so much with patients, been interacting with other doctors, with family members, and just really being a part of something very important in someone's lives. So I think this is a very amazing. This is an incredible profession. As far as how I got here, it's a very long path. So you have to go through 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, and then you decide what specialty you want to do. And depending on your specialty is how long you dedicate to training. So for me, I had to do 3 years of internal medicine, followed by 3 years of hematology, oncology. And then finally, I got my first job at age 33. So it takes a long time and a lot of dedication. There's other ways to be part of the industry without having to go through that long path. You could go through a physician assistant school, which is 2 years of PA school. You could become a nurse. You could, there's all kinds of things. As far as opportunities in this field, it's not just clinical. You could do research, administration. You could work for industry like pharmaceutical industries, and you could do a hybrid of all of those things. So I think it's a really incredible field that could work for really any personality.
Outstanding. Thank you, Doctor. I'd like to have Ellen also respond to that question.
Yes, Javier, thank you. So my situation is a little bit different. I'll give it to you from my entryway into recruitment, talent acquisition, and then talk a little bit about the positions that we have and about our company and the industry as a whole. As far as I'm concerned, as Javier pointed out, I've got kind of a unique background in that I started out in more of an accounting finance space, if you will. Not so much in healthcare, but just that's what I did. That's what I knew well. And I had done it in Northern California for many years, came down here, continued being in the finance and accounting space where I did that for a number of years, and continued doing that as I moved down to Southern California. And then decided that the type of work that I really excel in, for me personally, is that interaction. A lot of my finance and accounting work was more of a business partner, partnering with staffing firms, partnering with the contractors that came in. So that's really where my passion is, and aligning myself with candidates and individuals wanting to get into the employer that I was part of really was where my focus was. So I transitioned into human resources, and specifically recruitment, talent acquisition. Have been doing that for the better part of about 10 years, and didn't have myself a lot of experience in healthcare. I had worked for a small healthcare, or actually a large healthcare staffing firm, but it was primarily staffing. And then after that, or right before that, I had worked for a staffing firm that focused on what I had done previously, which was accounting and finance. And it was about, little less than 2.5 years ago that my passion to get into healthcare was there. And so I thought at that point I would leverage the years of recruitment and talent acquisition to get into what is now Better Night. And so where I've been for a little over actually pushing about 2.5 years. And so I'm passionate about that. The backstory about our company is that Better Night, which was formerly known as Sleep Data, if any of you know, heard of Sleep Data, we've been around for about 26 years, really focusing on diagnosing and treating patients that have obstructive sleep apnea. So that was of interest to me, and I do all the hiring. Primarily, we brought in a recent recruiter, but do all the hiring for our company. We recently, because of this division that focuses on treating patients online, telemedicine, telehealth, that we did a rebranding. This Better Night name was really a division of Sleep Data. But what we did was we decided to do a rebranding because we were working with patients nationwide. So we have literally have just completed that rebranding in the past couple of months. Technically, we go by the name Better Night, powered by Sleep Data. After about 2 years, we're going to drop the whole Sleep Data name and just be known as Better Night. And so that's currently what our name is. Again, our focus is really treating those patients with obstructive sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is very prevalent nationwide. It's really not the type of medical area that has been talked about a lot, but every time I talk to a candidate, they either have it or know of someone that actually has obstructive sleep apnea. As far as the type of opportunities that we have, we really cater to those individuals that are trying to get into healthcare. Many of our positions are either entry level or junior level that focus on patient services, patient service representatives, which we call client care or client service representative. We also have client care representatives that have a little bit of a sales focus to them. So there's a base and a bonus component. And then we have regular clinical positions like respiratory therapists and sleep care specialists. And so we really focus primarily on those positions and really cater toward those individuals who are either trying to make a turn in their career from maybe something in hospitality or retail or something along those lines, maybe a call center environment, and give those individuals the opportunity to really develop themselves in a healthcare environment, or those individuals who want to be more of a clinical position. There's a lot of opportunities out there, whether they be at Grossmont College or some of the other colleges out there that focus on those who want to be in a clinical capacity, like an RT or sleep care specialist. And so we're growing like crazy. We currently have about 260 employees, and we're really aiming to get toward about 500 employees by year end. So we're in complete growth mode. We actually laid off no one last year, no furlough employees as well. So we're just growing strong, and we're ready to add new individuals who are hungry and ready to get healthcare. And so that's what we're all about.
Excellent. Thank you, Ellen. Shaina?
Morning. So I would say my story is pretty similar to Alan's. My career path has been pretty non-linear. I didn't start off, knowing that I wanted to be in the talent acquisition or the recruitment field. So I started my career in the social services field, and I always knew I wanted to help individuals, but I didn't realize that it doesn't necessarily have to be patient-facing in order to help someone. So I did that for a few years, and I realized like I'm really burnt out. Like this is just a lot. So I had always been interested in human resources, but really didn't know how to get into the field. And so I just started, researching, and I realized I didn't want to go back to school for human resources. But with my degree in psychology, it's pretty relatable. You're still helping, you're working with individuals, right? So I started taking contract roles and, short-term roles just to get the experience. And I stumbled upon a contract recruiter role for San Ysidro Health 5 years ago. And there were no promises that it would turn into a permanent position, but I just took it as an opportunity to learn everything that I could in that short period of time. And then I was offered a permanent role. And then from there, I just kept climbing and climbing just because I really, really enjoyed helping folks, right? So I wanted to be the person that was the connector to get people employed. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And so I was recently promoted to manager of talent acquisition. So I oversee a team of 9 recruiters or talent acquisition partners. And we're responsible for staffing our 27 and growing clinics at San Ysidro Health. So we are in close contact with hiring managers to figure out what works for the departments, where there's gaps in their teams, and then we go out and we recruit for those positions. So anything from housekeepers on up to providers, RNs, medical assistants. We have several entry-level positions, like Alan mentioned, call processing representatives, our front office staff, which we call patient service representatives. We have clinical staff such as RNs. We also have therapy, as far as, speech therapists, physical therapists. So anything you can kind of think of, that's what we're responsible for staffing in our outpatient clinics. And so truly, truly enjoy it just because I'm still in the healthcare realm, but I'm not, providing direct care. I'm not responsible for anyone's life, if that makes sense. But I also get an opportunity just to go out. Pre-COVID, we were going out and, doing our job fairs and meeting folks face to face and being able to talk about our positions in our different clinics. That's now changed a bit. As you can see, we're all virtual right now. So we're doing our virtual career fairs. So that's a change. But yeah, I truly, truly enjoy what I do. And I would just tell anyone, don't be afraid to take those temporary roles to get the experience, and then, just try it out to figure out where you want to go. I'll say that San Ysidro Health is kind of, there's folks that have been with us for the full 50 years that we've been in existence. They started off as volunteers and they've kind of worked their way up. So that's just a testament that, you don't have to start out knowing what you want to do in order to move up to the career that you want. So thanks.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Attendees, as you can tell, we have a pretty amazing panel, clearly, from their bios and their response to that question. So I do want to remind the attendees that you can also post questions. If you would like to post a question, please post it now or whenever you feel like you have a question, and we'll cover it throughout the process. So again, the next question I'd love to ask is, what do you see as one of the biggest challenges in workforce development as it relates to your field? So let's take it with Shaina. Why don't you take it away?
would say a huge challenge. So my job is, of course, to get the talent in the door, right? But it's also my job to keep the talent in the door because we don't want to keep replacing our replacements, right? So it's really, really difficult to make sure that you have the right person in the right department that's matched to the right hiring manager that really, really wants to stay in that position and with our organization. So I think that's the biggest challenge I face day to day is, you think you during the phone interview and during the whole interview process, you like, this is my person. They said all the right things. They checked off all the boxes. And then you learn, 3 months out that, they've moved on. So that's pretty difficult, to find the sweet spot, if you will, for folks. We're always interested in getting the top talent in the door, but we also want to retain that talent. So
Great, thank you. Dr. Batra?
I could also agree with Shaina that we also have a shortage of clinicians and talent as well. And I think that that's really important to think about going forward when you're choosing your career. This is definitely an industry that is really, really desperate for people who love what they do and who are really dedicated to this profession. Also, in just in a more personal way, I think, the healthcare industry is always changing. I think that's a very challenging thing. Every year, we're met with new guidelines and new rules. And so there's always something going on. And, every time an administration changes, we have a whole new set of rules that are coming at us. So you always have to be prepared for what may come. And it is a little bit concerning every time, although every year, we look back and we say, okay, we made it this year too, but it's as long as you have a good group around you that is aware of policy and how that it could affect your practice going forward. I think it's easy. It makes it easier to meet those challenges, but that is definitely an ongoing problem.
Ellen?
I have to third that with both Shaina and Dr. Batra said. It's not only bringing in those individuals, but keeping, it's a retention and making sure that people really want to be there. And I guess what I would say to individuals out there is go after something you're really passionate about, because if you're not going to have the work ethic. It's hard to get yourself, as I call it, past the honeymoon stage. You have the job, but a week in, believe it or not, a month in, sometimes 6 months in, what we've oftentimes had is individuals who just don't have the passion. We, from an HR, perspective, can say we're going to give you the tools and the motivation, as far as pepping you up. But go in there with drive and enthusiasm and wanting to bring the best yourselves you possibly can. Have that work ethic. And that's the challenge that we have, especially in the talent acquisition, and Shaina can attest to. You're talking, you're phone screening, we're interviewing, and then somewhere along, after day one, individuals might not have that same drive, that same passion, the same desire to do the best they can. So I think that's really where kind of the challenge comes in. And we scratch our heads trying to figure out how can we find that talent. And with our positions, they are pretty junior level, so they don't necessarily, or entry level, don't necessarily know what they're looking for at times. So I think it's understanding those individuals that might not know it or think they know it, but once they're in, they want to make a career, because we absolutely give those opportunities to make a career. It's got to work out on the candidate and now employee side to have that drive, that enthusiasm, and know that healthcare is where they want to be. There's a lot, as both have pointed out, there's a lot of stability and growth potential, and you just have to go after it. And I think that becomes the challenge. And I think candidates need to have that desire and willingness and drive to be the best they can be and want to stay. So.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you. One question that we have for you is about the preparation involved. So we have teachers we have high school students who might be interested in going your field. Let's switch gears and kind of, let's put the hats of career advisors. I know we're not that, but this, if you had a career advisor, think about it from that perspective, or a counselor that could guide you down that path and shorten your path to where you are. What would that be? How would you describe that? Let's start off with Shaina. Why don't you take that, and what kind of guidance we can give some of our students and teachers?
Yeah, so I truly, truly enjoy going to schools to talk just about this thing, because if I had someone early in my career, I don't think I would have done so many zigzags. So just knowing, how to prepare for an interview, being prepared and what to say and what not to say in interviews, how to dress professionally, resume construction, right? It's all really, really important. And I see that now that I'm on the recruiter side. These are all things that I'm looking at. So definitely, like, having that conversation, recording your students interviewing so that they can see kind of how they're presenting themselves is very important, I feel. Making sure that you're aware of what the job is that you're applying to, reading the job description, making sure that you know what the organization is about that you're applying to. Just don't walk in blindly and kind of have the interviewer be responsible for telling you everything about the position. I think that's huge. Just showing, that you've researched a little bit, showing that you are interested in the position. And it's okay if you don't know everything about the position, right? But come to the table with something, just showing that you are eager to learn more, I think is huge. And another thing, soft skills, right? So you can't really teach those things. Those are things that people want you to kind of come to the table with, right? Being personable, that smiling goes a long way, right? So just those little things I think will help folks out with just being prepared with those basic things, I would say goes a long way.
Great. Ellen?
Javier, I have to say, I absolutely love this topic. It's something that is near and dear to me because I've done speaking engagements to students about this. I think the overriding factor, and Shanna hit on the nail on the head, but looking at it from the vantage point of the employer, whether it be the talent acquisition professional, the hiring manager, whomever you're connecting with, if you can align yourself as a candidate with whomever it is, you're going to do so much better. So I've connected with students in career fairs where they've got the education, maybe they even have sometimes the experience, but they almost come across as deer in the headlights. They're just not prepared with their resume looking good. I used to, in agency recruiting, used to help them with their resumes. You could have great content, maybe great education, maybe some great experience, but the layout of your resume doesn't resonate with the hiring manager, with the recruiter, with whomever it is that is reviewing it. You kind of want to give them that, oh, okay moment so they understand. I can't tell you how many resumes that I look at that I'm scratching my head thinking, what are they trying to tell me? I can get it by looking hard, but most recruiters aren't going to spend more than 20, 30 seconds looking at it. So from a candidate perspective, understand your audience. By understanding your audience, you can understand what that resume should look like to, again, I use the term resonate with the reader. When you go in, as Shanna pointed out, go in prepared, be curious. Hiring managers and recruiters love people that are curious. Oh, I read that your company has been around as doing this. Tell me more about that. I understand this position is looking for this and this where I've done that, but tell me more about that. It really, what it does is it tells that individual, this person really doesn't just want a job. They want a job with my company, my organization. So go out there with passion. When you're going out there, show that enthusiasm. I mean, as I'm exuding right now, as I'm speaking, have drive and in a sense of passion in your mannerism and in your tone, and they're going to get that. And so that's what I recommend, just going out there and connecting, networking like crazy. If you're not on LinkedIn, you should be. Everyone should be on LinkedIn. Even if you're not a social media junkie, I'm a LinkedIn junkie. Just go in, I'm going to check you out. I'm going to see how much you've done. If you have that, I know you're passionate and you're going to be excited to work for me. That's right.
Awesome. That's so exciting. I felt your passion, Alan. We should all go work for you. No. Great job. Great job. Dr. Batra, would you like to take that?
Yeah, I mean, along the same veins, I mean, I think, you know, it is really important to be passionate about the job you're interviewing for and the job you want to pursue. But the way to know that is to actually spend some time in the field, and before you decide to dedicate your life to it. I was really lucky in high school when I expressed to my parents that I was wanting to go into medicine. So we had some family friends that were doctors. So, immediately I started volunteering at their offices and spending a lot of time in hospitals as a candy striper. So I had a lot of interaction with the medical profession before going into college and starting that long educational track. But I have to say, even though I was spending all that time in the field before going into the educational part of it, I also didn't know how many opportunities there were in healthcare that were outside of even just the clinical part of things. So, just Shaina and Alan alone, they're examples of that. They're doing the great work on the ground on the administrative side of medicine. So there's so many ways to go into this field. So I really think it's important in the high school and college group to find a mentor. It could be a family friend or, someone you just meet, you can call me, that's totally fine. I mean, and just spend some time at the office and not just spend the time with the clinician, spend some time with the office manager, go and spend some time with the nurses, spend some time with the medical assistant, go into the hospital with the doctor and see what happens there. There's just so many different opportunities, and you can't figure out your passion without actually getting exposed to those things. So I think that would be my biggest takeaway, is that if there's any curiosity in this field, spend some time in it before pursuing the field, and then your passion will emerge.
Outstanding. Great advice, panelists. Let's switch gears a little bit and look at, because our questions from the attendees went from none to now a bunch of questions. So let's see what's in here. Let's see which questions we can cover here. Okay. First question is, does your company have work-based learning or experiential learning opportunities available to students and job seekers, such as internships, job mentorships, workplace tours, etc.? So let's start with Ellen.
We did at one point. Currently, we don't. We're in a situation where we're basically, they're not unpaid. They're almost like internships. So we're paying entry level positions. So instead of doing the actual internship, our positions act almost as, not officially, but kind of like externships. So we've partnered with the like of, hopefully I can name some schools if that's okay, like Pima, California College of San Diego, Concord, so on. And so we have a pipeline in with them. So, and other schools as well, Grossmont, I've connected with several individuals there. And our positions almost act as postgraduate, whether it's a program or associate's degree or even bachelor's degrees and so forth. And they'll come to us and they get the opportunity to start off fresh as entry-level individuals. So although it's not really a true internship per se, it almost acts as like a training ground because our roles tend to be so junior, and it's worked out great. And if people have, as I keep saying, the drive, the passion, as Dr. Batra was saying, go in and talk to individuals. I've had people just reach out to me for informational interviews or informational interview from the perspective of, who do I go to find out more? And I'll direct them, and then they'll come back to me and talk about a job. So we do offer those kind of opportunities to expose them to positions or information about what we do in healthcare.
Great, Shaina?
Yeah, so we've recently revamped or restarted our volunteer program. So there are opportunities for folks to sign up for volunteer opportunities in our research department. And also we are working with the unaccompanied minors at the convention center. So that's another volunteer opportunity that we have starting. Also, we do have several externship opportunities. So we partner, similar to what Alan was explaining, we partner with several schools throughout the county. And that's kind of our pipeline to our workforce, right? You get trained on our clinical side. So we have a medical assistant externship, a phlebotomist externship. We also have call processing and patient services externships. And the goal is to get those folks trained up and then offer them employment, right? So that's our pipeline there. So definitely opportunities for folks to get trained up and then, you know, offered employment thereafter.
Great. Dr. Batra?
So in my practice, you know, we're a smaller practice, so we don't have any official, you know, workforce internships that are set up. We have an externship program with the medical assistant program locally. But most of the time when we have volunteers here, there are people who were self-seekers, people like a PA student or medical student that was interested. So we've had them come for a rotation. And so, you know, those are the opportunities we've had here. Many of our MAs joined the practice, and then a lot of them have gone on to become nurses. They pursue school during their time as our MAs. We've even had nurses go into nurse practitioner school. So we do support that as a business. We work closely with Sharp, and I know Sharp has a lot of opportunities, you know, just like we're all speaking about. So I think that would be another place, going to a bigger institution for those kinds of opportunities.
Great. So there's another question here that I'd like to pull up from the attendees. It's about promotion and advancement in your areas, and then opportunities for upskilling. So what does that look like in your respective areas, promotion and advancement and upskilling? Dr. Batra?
As I just mentioned about the MAs going, pursuing further careers in nursing, nurses pursuing NP degrees. You know, as far as, you know, physicians are concerned, I mean, a lot of us just spend our time doing clinical practice, but there's opportunities to rise up in administration. So working closely here with Sharp administration, I've been on the leadership committees, you know, and there are opportunities there. It just takes more perseverance. It takes learning on the ground. Unfortunately, in medical school, they don't teach you about business, and they don't teach you about leadership. And that's just something you have to learn on your own, again, and finding mentors or taking outside courses and things like that. So, you know, again, as a physician, you could spend your time doing clinical work or research, but there's definitely opportunities to go outside of that and work in the administrative side.
Great, thank you. Shaina?
Yeah, I would just say I'm the perfect example, right? So I started off as a contract recruiter, and now I oversee the talent acquisition department, right? Our executive vice president started off as a volunteer many moons ago and has, you know, worked her way up. So there's a lot of success stories in San Ysidro Health where folks have started off as volunteers or started off as entry level, and they've worked themselves their way up. You know, they're now directors over the department that they started. And so definitely room for advancement at San Ysidro Health. And as far as kind of upskilling, I would say there's a lot of opportunity for mentorship. I definitely was mentored by, you know, my VP. She definitely, you know, took the time to take me with her as she was doing things. So I think that's also a great opportunity for folks to, like Dr. Batra mentioned, you know, that mentorship piece is huge, to, you know, attach yourself to someone that you see that you want to kind of mirror, right, in their career progression. So definitely room for advancement on that side. And then as far as the clinical side, like Dr. Batra also mentioned, there's folks that started off as MAs and they, tracked up to RN to NP and so on and so forth, and then overseeing the clinical functions as well. So definitely room for career progression.
Great, thank you, Shaina. Ellen?
Absolutely, I have to, agree with both. We have opportunities galore. I mean, that's one of the big things that we pride ourselves on is organic growth. Growing, promoting from within. In fact, all our promotional opportunities are saved for those individuals who come into our company. They start off almost exclusively because a lot of our positions are more that entry to junior level at a level that's more modest, so we can bring those individuals in. And then our promotional opportunities, as I'm looking at them right now on our applicant tracking system, we have so many internal positions that the external individuals can't see because they're saved exclusively for those internal individuals. So we have like a client care coordinator level 2, a client service representative level 3 and level 2. We have so many of those back office positions, for example, positions, clinical positions. We've had people work up the ranks 2 and 3 times. We have an insurance benefit rep person that's worked up the ranks 4 times. So we have that. What's nice here is that we have the lateral growth, so you can move up the ranks in your chosen function, and you can move laterally. We have people that have gone from like a back office patient service rep to insurance to clinical. Believe it or not, they've gone into clinical because they've gone to school, or sometimes they can go in like an admin role while they're going to school. So those opportunities are so much out there. And as far as mentoring, people love to mentor here. So we have some of the one of the additional thing that we offer are our managers, everyone here really, but our managers are very approachable. And that's one of the things that was really important to me. Work-life balance and approachable people, so you don't feel on edge. And they want you to come up to them, and they'll even go up to you and want to mentor you and guide you and find out where you want to be. So those opportunities are abound in so many different ways, whether you want to go up in your, like I said, in your chosen area, or maybe another part of the company. But tons of those positions for promotion and opportunities for advancement. So definitely there.
Great job, panelists. Attendees, you hear that? Lots of opportunity for advancement, promotion, upskilling in this awesome field. I want to bundle the next 3 attendee questions, and this might be more targeted toward Ellen and Shaina, but this bundle these together about qualities that are attractive in the folks you hire. And Dr. Batra, that would be really appropriate for you to answer as well. Then top 3 strengths that you're looking for, or maybe 5 or more, or only 1, who knows, right? What are some of the best practices for job seekers when preparing for an interview? So kind of, if you can all bundle that together, we'll start off with Shaina.
Let me see if I can remember all of that.
So top attributes.
Okay.
And then some suggestions for interviewing.
Okay. I would say, I think we've touched on it several times. So the passion, right? We're looking for folks that are passionate about healthcare, because it's not always sunshine and rainbows, right? You're working with the public, right? So that comes with all different types of personalities. So you really, really have to be passionate. I would say you really, no matter the position that you're working in, I say bedside manner, but there may be, another word for it, right? But you want to make sure that you're personable, that you're, the individual, if you're working patient facing, they might be having the worst day of their life, right? So it's your job to kind of help to turn that around. So really, really just being personable and I would say personable and passionate about what you do, because again, it's not rainbows and sunshine every single day. And as far as attributes that I'm looking for when I'm looking at candidates that are looking to get into the organization. So we're a nonprofit, right? And so that's huge as well. If you're looking to give back to the community, if you align with our mission of helping the underserved and those that are, disadvantaged, I want that to come through, right? I don't want you just to say, oh, I'm looking for any Joe Blow job, because there's other jobs out there, but this is a niche. If you really want to work in a nonprofit setting, you have to be flexible, you have to be adaptable, because it's not about you, it's about, the bigger cause of serving the public. So those are all things that I look for my organization, so.
Great. Ellen?
Again, Shaina hit the nail right on the head. Shaina, when you said bedside manner, I will say it. I mean, that's something that we all look for. I mean, it starts, if I'm recommending some things, bundling all this together, I'm saying on paper, you want to look good. Again, you don't have to have healthcare. If you have it, great. But if you have customer service, and we'll get to the bedside manner in a moment. But if you could spell that out in your resume, customer service, this is how I offer phenomenal customer service. I'll go and think to myself, great, person looks good. That's critical. It doesn't have to be healthcare. It could be maybe a call center. It could be retail. It could be hospitality. That's from the paper standpoint. That's from the resume. As Shaina was pointing out, I want to see that you have a sense of empathy and sympathy. You can communicate. You have the bedside manner, of course. You have a smile on your face. Again, as she pointed out, those are the things that I'm going to be looking for. I can hear it in your voice. If someone has that passion, as she pointed out, that empathy, sympathy, you can align yourself with patients. That's all critical. At the same time, you have to be smart enough to give that patient a certain amount of time, but a lot of our positions are on the phone. So you can't spend so much time with them that you can't move along. So it's that nice balance of moving the process along, letting them feel that they're cared about, that they're valued, but then you're able to move on a lot. So it's a fine balance. And if you're individuals that are good in that regard are really going to be successful. So be smart with your time, but be kind and passionate with the people you talk with. I think those are my suggestions. As far as attributes, it's the same thing. It's the passion, it's the drive, it's the hunger, to want to be successful. It takes a certain person to be in healthcare, someone that's kind, someone that looks at it from the vantage point of others. And I think maybe Shaina can attest to this in her HR team, but our HR team, we've done these like tests and we all kind of have that kind of sense about us. If you have that sense about looking at it from the vantage point of the patient and are focused on the patient and want this not as a job, but this is what you're passionate about, and you're telling them, oh, it's not just, I've had so many candidates that say, which company are you? I've written to so many. And I'm thinking, you don't say that to an employer. Make them feel like they're the employer of choice. And I can't figure that out. Don't tell the employer, say, I'm seeking you out. I want to work for you. No one else but you. Whether that's true or not, that's a moot point. Let them know that. Use a little smarts in that regard, and it'll go a long way. So, my 2 cents.
Great, thank you. Dr. Batra.
Well, I think it's important to remember that if you're joining something in the healthcare industry, the main focus is the patient, right? So that is everybody's focus. All eyes on the prize is taking care of the patient, right? So the whole team is built around this one entity. And there's no I in team. You have to be a really amazing team player, really driven, motivated, and very, very compassionate. Bedside manner is the perfect way to put it. It's not just the bedside manner of me, it's everyone, who the patient interacts with. I was a patient recently and, just getting the call from the billing person at the place that I had to do an MRI at, or, things like that. I mean, those interactions are very meaningful for someone who's going through a healthcare journey. And so, everyone has to be part of the team, compassionate and very driven. It does take smarts. It does take being intellectual and academic and all of that. But the other things are so important too. So even if maybe you're not an A+ student, but if you're really amazing at these other things, you could actually be a huge, huge positive force in the company.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. And last, we have our final question. And then, that question is, what do you see as in terms of changes over the next 5-10 years in your area? Your careers, the pathways, opportunities, what do you see as changes 5-10 years, Dr. Batra?
Well, I could have asked me this a year and a half ago, and I would have never predicted COVID. So I obviously we don't know what's coming. I think there will be some healthcare changes with the new administration. I think we'll have a lot more patients because I think more people will have access to insurance and to healthcare. So I think this field is just going to continue to grow. We are really in need of people who can see patients, so not just physicians, but allied health professionals. And I think there's going to be a lot of career opportunity coming our way soon. But I don't know if there'll be another pandemic, so who knows what's coming. As far as my career path, I'm going to continue what I'm doing. I'm almost 46, so I still have a long way to go, but I am working towards getting out there and speaking more about cancer and breast cancer awareness. And just bringing the information more to the public about getting your screening done on time. That's a big passion of mine. And so that's what I will be doing in addition to my everyday clinical practice.
Great. Thank you so much. Alan?
Yes, I guess the one key word, and this kind of goes without saying, and I've seen it for my many years, probably got a few years and a lot of years, is technology. It's changed. I could think back to where, what I used to do in accounting and finance, and not to embarrass myself, but it was quite a bit different as things are on paper back in the day. And as things evolved and I got into HR and focused on recruiting and talent acquisition, as Dr. Batra was pointing out, with the advent of this COVID pandemic and how we were heading in a technological standpoint, and this just sped up the process in the last 14 15 months. And now look at us, we're all on video platforms, whether it be Zoom or any of the others. So from a talent acquisition standpoint, recruiting standpoint, the candidates need to know, even those that are not in this and healthcare, you're going to be doing things virtually. I mean, let's face it, even if in the next handful of months, 6 months, 12 months, we revert back a little bit, get familiar, be comfortable with change. And that change is going to be, technology, whether it be a video platform where we all meet up or anything else. A lot of our employees are working, as we've been all discussing, working virtually, and they've got to work independently. Yes, there's a team that they're connecting with, but they're independent. They're working on their computers by themselves, and they've got to be ready. So expect the unexpected and be comfortable with change and be comfortable with technology, because that's what we're doing. So that's how things are evolving with us. So like everyone else. So.
Great. Thank you, Alan. Shaina?
Yes, everyone has already mentioned healthcare is always evolving, right? And we just adapt to whatever the need is. So pre-COVID, we didn't have a need for health screeners. Now we do, right? So people are having to be screened before they're entering the clinic. So there's always a new position that is being introduced. When I started with San Ysidro Health, we had 13 clinics, but now we're at 27. So it's just always evolving, and again, we just have to be adaptable to whatever comes with that that change. So I'm grateful that my team has continued to grow throughout the whole pandemic, and I think it'll continue to do so just because everyone will always need healthcare. So I think this is a field to tap into, or try to enter into, because it's stable, right? Everyone needs healthcare, and they always will. So,
wow, that was a perfect ending, because we are at 9:30. So again, panelists, thank you so much. You did a terrific job. Looks like we answered all the questions. On behalf of the San Diego East County Economic Development Council Healthcare Panel, thank you attendees for attending. And we will send out a link to the video the next couple of days. So again, have a wonderful morning. Take care.